Hello there. I hope that you are doing well. Welcome to Lecture 5 of the Mastering Yourself series. This lecture is going to be about self image. Before we begin with today's lecture, I first want to ask you the following. How do you see yourself? When you think about you as a person, are you proud of the person that you are? Are you happy with the way that you are living your life? Or are you upset about yourself? Are you mad at yourself? Are you disgusted by your own actions? Are you sad about your own behavior? Really take some time to answer these questions. I want you to try and determine how you feel about yourself. The reason why I'm asking you to think about this question is due to the following. In order for us to perform well, we need to have a certain self image, a certain perception about ourselves, which allows us to perform well. And that is what I want to discuss during this lecture. Let us first take a look at self image. Self image is the image that you hold in mind of yourself, it's how you view yourself. Your self image plays a crucial role in how you feel and therefore how you perform. Having a positive self image is crucial for success in any endeavor, not just in trading. What I want you to understand is that if your self image is not positive and you're looking at yourself from a negative perspective, what you're doing is you're actually causing yourself to basically feel sad or you're feeling upset. And when you take that negative energy with you into the marketplace, you're going to seek to try and project that negative energy. Whilst in reality, you should just be calm and you should just be content with the way that you are behaving. And this is not me justifying bad behavior. Don't get me wrong. If you are behaving in a bad way and you are not happy with the way that you are behaving, absolutely you should be disgusted by yourself. But there's always a reason for you to look at every single experience from a positive lens. You need to understand that nothing good comes from beating yourself up. Nothing good comes from beating yourself down. You need to understand that at the end of the day, you need to be the person who is able to reflect upon your own actions, learn from them, learn from your mistakes, and then say, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not defined by this experience. But some of you, you go out there and you have a bad day or a bad trading day, a bad trading session. And what you do is you write in your journal, "Oh, I'm such a loser. I'm so bad. This is never going to work for me," and all of this negative self talk. And what do you think is going to come as a result of that? More negative results until you decide to change the frequency at which you're operating. Until you make a conscious decision to say, okay, even though this day was not how I wanted it to be, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to learn from it. That is what I want to discuss during this lecture with you. Think about the following. If you constantly say to yourself that you will never make it and that you are destined for failure, what will you achieve? Now, what if you constantly say to yourself that you will make it and are destined for success? What will you achieve then? You can clearly see the difference between these two statements. One person beats themselves up, and the other person tries to think to themselves, okay, I am destined for success no matter what. I don't care how hard it may get. I don't care how many challenges I must face. I know that at one point I will achieve my goals. Of course, the person who thinks that way is going to likely achieve their goals earlier than the person that does not think that way. The person that constantly thinks that this stuff is not for them and that it just doesn't work for them and therefore they should just quit, of course, they're only going to get negative results. Why? Because their mind is not open for the possibility of them actually achieving the success. Look, I'm a big believer that you must first see something in your mind before you're able to actually achieve it. You must believe that you are capable of achieving it before you actually achieve it. And that right there is something that I had to understand through a lot of negative experiences. Because I was really asking myself when I was coming up, why am I behaving this way in this way that is not conducive for good behavior? Why am I trying to do more than what is required? Why am I going out there and taking trades that I know I shouldn't be taking? When I looked deeply into that question and I was trying to figure out the answers, What I came to realize was that I was not thinking yet that I deserved it. That was not thinking yet that I, as the trader, am deserving of the success. And when I realized that right there, I began changing that paradigm and I began saying to myself, okay, I have put in the work. I have put in the countless hours. I am blessed with the knowledge that I have and with the ability to see what I see, and therefore I need to utilize that properly. I deserve the results that I'm looking for. Once I began thinking that way, man oh man, everything just came away. And it's almost as if that conscious decision has to be made first before the success was allowed to come. And that is what I want to share with you. Until you make the decision, you're always going to attract negative experiences. But the moment that you make the conscious decision to change and to think to yourself, okay, I know that success is going to arrive at my doorstep one day, you will actually achieve the success. First, think it before you can achieve it. Be mindful of the inner dialogue that you have with yourself. It might be what is holding you back. Earlier this morning, on the morning of this recording that I'm making this lecture for you, I was running on a treadmill and I ran 20 kilometers. If you would have told me about 6 months ago that in 6 months I would be running 20 kilometers, I would probably be looking at you and probably I would begin laughing at you. And the reason why I would begin laughing at you was because in my mind, I was someone who hated running, meaning I did not like to run. I did not like to go out there and just go on a treadmill or go outside and begin running. And now I'm preparing for a marathon, which I'm about to run. And I'm running 20K with ease. What occurred? First of all, in my mind, I changed the thought process of, okay, I don't like to run to, okay, I'm going to run because I need to run. The reason why I want to run is way deeper. It's a lot of psychological stuff that I began saying to myself, such as that this is required in order for me to get stronger mentally, but that's besides the point. What I want you to understand is that I never thought I could be a good runner. I never thought that I could be out there just running for tens of kilometers and just be good at that. I never thought that way. Until I began preparing myself, until I began training for it. And now I believe that I'm someone who is capable of running properly. What occurred? The inner dialogue that I had with myself changed. I changed the internal dialogue from, okay, well, instead of thinking that I can't, I'm going to train and I'm going to prepare myself so that I am able to do one day. And fast forward 6 months and I'm able to run properly and I'm about to run my marathon. Now, what I need you to understand is that exactly the same applies to trading. If you believe and you believe that everything that is occurring inside of your own life right now, inside of your own trading performance, and you're hesitant of taking trades or you're fearful of taking trades and you're fearful of either risking more equity or you're fearful of even executing at all, or let's say that you are not content with enough and you want to do more than what is required. All those things are occurring because of your inner dialogue with yourself. If you're fearful, then it means that you have not prepared yourself mentally well enough. If you want to do more than what is required, it is because your inner dialogue is suggesting to you that you should be doing more than what you have already done. And that right there is what you need to battle. You need to begin taking control of your mind. And that is the whole goal of this series. The whole goal of this series is to basically make you stop fucking yourself up, because that's the thing you need to realize. You are the person, only you, that is capable of achieving the success that you desire. But you are also the only person that is capable of fucking it all up. And I'm sorry for the bad language, but I really need to use my emotion to try and make my point to you. At some point, you need to be basically done with all of the bad habits that are holding you back. And once you're done and you're disgusted by all the bad habits, that's when you're able to take the habits out of each other and you're basically to look at them, and you're going to look at them and you're going to tear them apart. Meaning you're going to basically throw the bad habits away and you're going to change them into good habits. And that right there can only be done when you change the inner dialogue that you have with yourself. As long as you don't change the inner dialogue, the thoughts that come in your mind and you do not take control of your mind, you're going to continuously repeat the same mistakes. But the moment that you are able to take control of your mind and you're able to change the inner dialogue that you have with yourself every single day, every single moment of the day, and instead of it being filled with fear or instead of it being filled with negative thoughts, and it begins to turn into positive thoughts and thoughts that help you get better and help you do the right thing consistently, until that occurs, you're going to continuously be stuck inside that cycle. But the moment that you take control back of your mind, you are going to find that it will become easier for you to do the right thing day in, day out. Do not allow negative experiences to influence your self image. Do not run away from negative experiences, learn from them. Let me explain. If you run away from a negative experience, if you would run away from, let's say, a losing trade or a bad day, or let's say a bad week or a bad month, if you would run away from that experience and pretend like it did not happen, what's going to occur is the following. That experience or sequence of experiences is going to be held on to by your subconscious. Your subconscious will constantly try to think about those negative experiences. So when a similar experience seems to present itself, what will occur is that your mind will automatically revert back to the experience that you occurred prior, which was negative, and then that will induce fear in the present. So the way that you deal with experiences that are negative is by learning from them, meaning by looking back at the experience and looking at it from the lens of, okay, there's a lesson to be learned here. Once you extract the lesson from it, and once you know what the lesson is that was apparently required for you to learn, you end the experience there. Meaning, you then say, okay, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to continuously dwell on it. Because if you would dwell on that experience, what will happen then is that your mind is going to constantly think about that experience and you're going to think negatively about yourself. You're going to think that you're a failure. You're going to think that you can't do it. And what will happen then? You're actually going to cause yourself to spiral. You're going to cause yourself to do the wrong thing because you are not taking control of your own mind. You're letting life control you. And that is something that I want you to truly take away from this slide. This slide is crucial to understand. If you allow negative experiences to take control of your own mind, instead of you just saying, okay, I'm going to take the time to learn from this experience to then move on, you're going to cause yourself harm. And that is not something you should try to experience. But the thing is, in trading, I believe everyone has to experience this because at the end of the day, you need to go through a lot of hardships in order to make it as a trader. And that is also what defines you of being a successful trader. Successful traders have gone through events that are negative. They have gone through those events and they were able to deal with them properly. There are so many people that go through negative experiences, that go through phases in which it doesn't seem to click, and they just quit because that is the easy option. Quitting is always an option for the majority of people. But for you, it can't be because you have already come so far that quitting is no longer part of the equation. It is not even something you can think about because your self-image has already changed to the point that you are going to make it one day. And when you truly believe that, you will arrive there. But you cannot dwell on those negative experiences. If you do dwell on that negative experience and let it influence your self-image, you are causing yourself to go down the wrong path, as I just outlined. You will allow fear to live in your mind, and this is not allowed. If you did not watch the previous lecture yet of this series in which I touched on the topic of fears, then I would highly suggest you to do so, because in that lecture I give good tips when it comes to dealing with the most important fears to deal with. Let us take a look at the cookie jar. The cookie jar is a concept David Goggins, who is a Navy SEAL, taught. If you do not know who David Goggins is, then you're in for a treat because you should definitely look on YouTube who this guy is or try and read his book because this guy has a mindset that I look up to a lot. Not in the sense of that I try to like copy him when it comes to how he behaves and how he trains and all of that stuff, but more so in the way that he has taken control of his own mind. Let me explain. When you go through a lot of hardships, when you go through negative experiences, when you go through experiences that are painful, that you try to automatically run away from because they are just too painful to look at, for example, it's very important that we find a place, or create a place, I should rather say, where we store these experiences. And this is the cookie jar. Imagine the cookie jar that your grandma had when you came there as a child, and she always allowed you to, grab a cookie every single now and then. Yes? Think about that cookie jar. Instead of that cookie jar being filled with cookies, this cookie jar will be filled with experiences that you endured, that you went through. When times get tough, which they will get one day, it could be that a family member dies, it could be that something just occurs in your life which is completely fucked up, something along those lines. When it occurs, it's very important that you have your own cookie jar. The jar consists of all the experiences you went through in the past that were challenging and tough. When you have this cookie jar established and you're able to look back at all the experiences that you have in that cookie jar, and you're able to say to yourself, this is everything I had to go through to get to this point where I'm at now, you will find the courage and the strength to keep going no matter what. Why? Well, you survived through all those experiences. You made it through. And therefore, whatever might be going on in your life would never be more challenging than what you already went through in the past. It might feel that way, but it also felt that way when that experience that you're or that you have stored inside that cookie jar was going on. So that is when you look back and learn from, okay, I went through everything back then, so I'm able to make it out again. And what I'm teaching you here is a self image that allows you to constantly think about, okay, I have grown. I have grown as a person. I have grown as a man. I've grown as a woman. I have become stronger mentally. And that is what I want you to take away from this part. Why? Because you have been able to survive all of those negative experiences. So, therefore, you will also be able to survive whatever you might be going through right now. Therefore, this cookie jar is definitely something I would suggest you to create for yourself. Take some time and try and determine for yourself what your cookie jar consists of. What are the experiences you had to go through to get to the point where you are at now? When you are going through hard times, looking back at everything you had to overcome to get to this point often provides you with calmness. You were able to go through all those experiences in the past, so why wouldn't you be able to conquer this? Changing your self image takes time. Therefore, you need to submit to time. I say this a lot, but submitting to time is crucial. You cannot rush this process. It will not be like, okay, you wake up one day and all of a sudden you feel proud of yourself, or all of a sudden you are happy with the way that you look. No, just like in fitness, change takes time. And if you commit to changing every single day and improving and doing the right thing, because deep down inside, you know sure as hell what doing the right thing is for you. Whether it be eating healthy, whether it be hanging around with the right people, or whether it be not consuming, let's say, that negative content that you might be consuming, or not paying attention to the news, or whatever it may be. All of you know something that you are doing each day that you know you shouldn't do. If you have that feeling that you know you shouldn't do it, why continue to do it? If you stop doing it, I promise you, you're going to be able to look back in the mirror at the end of each day and you will be able to say to yourself, okay, I'm happy I didn't do that today. Therefore, I'm going to stop doing it, meaning I'm not going to do it tomorrow and the day after. And before you know it, you have changed the habit. But again, that takes time. Changing habits is a process. It isn't something like, okay, I swallow this magic pill and all of a sudden I am this person now. No. Why not? Because it takes a shit ton of time and effort, and therefore be patient. There's a reason my three words that are always upon my charts are patience, courage, and wisdom. The patience to be able to submit to time and keep my head down until the shit fucking clicks. The courage to keep on going regardless of how hard life may get. And the wisdom to be able to look back at all the things that I'm doing each day to think and determine for myself, am I doing the right thing? Those are the 3 words that I've had upon my charts for years now, and those are the 3 words I live by. Patience, courage, wisdom. Changing your self-image takes conscious action, meaning whilst you're going through life, whilst you're going through each day, I want you to begin thinking about everything that you do. Not to promote the idea of paranoia, not to promote the idea of you just, having to worry about things. No, to actively be aware of whatever you're doing. Because if you know that you should be doing something different than what you're doing, whether it be, for example, your eating patterns, or whether it be your sleeping patterns, or whether it be your socializing patterns, or whether it be your trading patterns. If you become aware of a habit that you're doing each day that you know you shouldn't be doing, I want to ask you to investigate why your actions are not aligned with what you know you should be doing. There's a deeper reason for that. And when you investigate why that is the case, you will be able to eventually tackle it. And that is when you will be able to begin doing what is right to do. And that right there is being aligned with yourself. Sometimes it's very easy to get distracted by a lot of things in life, but it's always important to return to our own state of calmness, because that is what at the end of the day will allow you to get better. If your self image is not clear and it's not promoting good behavior, change your self image. And that takes time and it takes conscious action. Using positive experiences to strengthen your self image. When you have a positive experience or a sequence of positive experiences, you need to grab hold of them and turn them into who you are and what you do. Meaning, if you had a phenomenal week, if you had a phenomenal month, I want you to literally look back at that month, at that week, at that overall performance, and say to yourself, this feels great. I'm happy I behaved this way. And this is exactly what I'm capable of doing. This is who I'm becoming. I cannot basically go below this performance again when it comes to adhering to my rules, adhering to my protocols, and doing the right thing. Building confidence comes as a natural result of you focusing on consistently doing the things that lead you to experiencing positive outcomes. When you have a positive experience or a sequence of positive experiences, it's very important that you're mindful of everything that you did in order to achieve that experience. This is what I refer to as the input. If you're able to become aware of everything that you did in order to achieve that outcome, that output, you are able to replicate that moving forward. Meaning, you will be able to behave in the same manner, behave in the same way, and over time, the outcome is likely going to be exactly the same, if not better, as that initial positive experience or sequence of positive experiences. Set standards for yourself and do everything you need to do to not go below those standards. Standards in the sense of how you behave each day. Do not go from, okay, I'm following my protocol this day, so I should not follow it next day. No, you should always adhere to the protocol every single day, every single week. For you to reach your goals, you must first believe that you are the person that is able to achieve them. This is what I discussed multiple times during this lecture. You need to literally take control of your own mind and begin controlling your thoughts so that you're setting yourself up for success. If your thoughts are currently negative and you're not allowing yourself to basically achieve the power of your mind, and all you're doing is just you're going through the days, you're sleeping through the days, you're putting a bit of work in, you're backtesting halfway, but you're half-assing it. That's what you're doing, guys. You are literally holding yourself back because you have not made the conscious decision yet to increase the frequency at which you're operating, to increase the quality of your own thoughts. Trust me, when you try this out for a week or for a month and you begin literally taking control of your own life, I'm telling you, in a few months from now, you're going to be a completely different person. Why? Because you've made the decision to change. Once you make the decision to change, your life will change. But until you make that conscious decision to change, nothing will occur. Remember, Nothing changes if nothing changes. Believe that you become the person that is able of achieving things and watch yourself achieve those things. In order for you to become that person, you must submit to time and put in the required work and effort. Day in, day out, week in, week out. And over time, you are going to achieve the success that you desire. With that, this lecture comes to an end. I hope that it has provided you with great insight when it comes to changing your self-image, and I look forward to catching up with you in the 6th lecture soon.